Thank you for joining me. I'm karenann McDonald, and I'm here to talk about some exciting new things that we've been doing. One of the things we've been doing for a lot of years, and actually decades, in the biofeedback industry, what you call scalar, Rife, radionics, radiesthesia, frequency, energetic medicine, distance, remote, however we want to look at it, there's a way of accessing the biofield. And one of the ways to do it safely without actually ever hooking up a client is to actually do what's called a nutraceutical or an electrical ceutical. Some people refer this to remedy plates, multi-wave Lakosky prints. We talk about, replicating technology. This is one way to do it very safely, especially for people that cannot be hooked up to any kind of electronics. If people have taken certain injections, certain medications, you say pacemakers, or actually if you're pregnant or even nursing, or possibly even on your menstrual period. So there are some different things and different medications that you might want to consult with one of us that actually know what we're doing, okay, and that have been in the biofeedback industry for a long time. And there are several of us that have been integratively trained. That means we have been trained in the allopathic, but not only that, but the naturopathic, and also into the quantum biofeedback or quantum integrative medical field. So a lot of us have been doing this for years, and some of the stuff we've been pioneering. One of my favorite tools and exciting things to work with is also at Insight Health Apps. Longtime pioneer and innovator in this industry is Ryan Williams. And if you've got the, due diligence to do your research, you're going to see that he's actually been one of the foremost on the cutting edge of pioneering technology. So I've been always excited and proud to have him as a friend, not only as a colleague, but also as a professional in this realm of quantum mechanics and quantum health and quantum, energetic medicine. So I'm going to talk a little bit about today about making those energetic, what you call remedies or elixirs or remedy plates. We're going to talk about some of the different things that we have available. So I got a whole assortment here of tools. These are things that you're going to want to have. So one of the things we can do, we're going to talk a little bit about these remedy plates. And these remedy plates, you can get an Insight Health app, or if you want to take and look at some other varieties, you'll actually see some of the ones that I also have access to. So please get a hold of me if it's something that you want to get into. They come in a variety of shapes. They can be into your sacred geometry. This one's obviously, which I love, is in the circles and the energy. So I want you to think of a vortex that's actually coming up here and straight up. So one of the things we can do without touching a client is actually to put on, let's say, things like jewelry. In imprinting jewelry. One of the other things you can do as well, I like to make for all my clients, is spring water and actually essential oil remedies. So they all go home with a tincture. But let's say if I've got a little girl, I might put on her scrunchie or a hairband. Maybe some of you have got some different organite or crystals or different favorite pieces that you would like. There are some heavy duty ones here made by Walt Silva. And I did quite a bit of shows there at actually Shungite or Cosmic Reality. And these are some of the things that have been made on here that will actually have different copper coils and different electrical magnetics. And this is one of the 5th density rose heart ones here. And this is made with a lot of different things, from glass to mica to all sorts of things. So actually you can see it goes right through and penetrates and actually circulates up here, just like one of those cloud busters that you'll see. One of the other things I love to do is, like I said, you can make copper. A lot of people are using copper these days. They've got things like Q-links, but what Tony Pacloresco has been finding is that if you just use straight copper, and I want, instead of going to pay $30, $40, I actually went and got some copper strapping that they use in the plumbing division, which is next to nothing. And what you can do is actually get the copper wire. And again, that comes from a hardware store, or this as well. You could get it at a jewelry store or on Amazon. So what he's doing is he's using a copper base in the center, or zinc. And what he does is he takes one of these copper wires and runs one clockwise and the other one counterclockwise. So they're again basically scrambling and disseminating some of the negative or dirty energetics. So there is always a way, and then there's another advanced way of taking these, tensor rings or sun rings as we see them, or sort of taking slim spirulins to the next level. I love to do spring water, as I said, for my clients. And then having said that, one of the other things I like to do are different forms of salt, whether it's bamboo, it could be a variety of sea salts, Celtic salts, or something that's the least contaminated these days. So making salt or salt scrubs, or actually putting it on your food. I make a lot of tinctures. This could be something that's actually I can give to my clients. So you could use it in a a dropper form or actually in a diffuser form. So there's another couple things. If I was to choose glass, your top glass is actually a UV glass. And unlike cobalt or green, this is a cobalt blue, mirroring glass is actually a deep purple, like an indigo, deep purple. And that will help with the UV penetration. So that's why you see a lot of essential oils are usually put into copper, or you will see those colored glasses. So this is one of my favorite things as well, out of basically Calgary from the Light Cellar. And this is something as well. So I'm going to talk about, can I actually test the client? So let's say, what is this going to do for my client physically, mentally, emotionally? You know, getting into the biofield, or is there something in here that strengthens one field and not another? You can also muscle test it in that essence, using it like sonogram. That's what we're doing, is precise, basically ultrasound. So in here, I could actually test this or any other supplement to see what would be a better remedy. So once I've actually captured the audio sound or the vibration, you know, that we can measure actually on what's called oscilloscopes, and you're measuring different things in hertz or megahertz or whatever we're doing. And you can actually then actually not only imprint it, but also then deliver it. So you have those options. You can either just test someone and they can go get it, or you can make the remedy or send it back to them in a cybernetic loop we call frequency or energetic medicine. So there's one way to do it safely without hooking up people with putting on wristbands and all sorts of things as well. So there are lots of different things. So you can actually take any brand name that you may be aware of and actually go in there and actually grab these different supplements and actually test them or re-imprint them and then test to see if you really need it. Because a lot of times, whether it's nicotine or something like that, you might need a pure form. The other thing a lot of people like to do is do their jewelry, like I said, or getting different crystals. So I like to put crystals on. And of course, a lot of people are going with nicotine patches. Well, I'd rather go with a safe patch. And there are different patches out there that you can get that are actually clove, herb, peppermint, also with a little bit of, you know, nicotine if you need it, or imprint your sacred Hopi tobacco. Take that plant that you see behind me here. I could take that leaf off, put it here, and give it to you energetically, or give it to you in a plant, a dehydrated form, an elixir form, a tincture form. It could be in actually alcohol or vodka, or it could be in glycerin, whatever form you want, or turn that into an essential oil. So all those different frequencies, for example, plant might be at 25 megahertz, but we move it into essential oil and it might be 70 or 80 megahertz. So depending where you want to go or what sort of action, or with, let's say, frankincense, cedarwood, or things like that, you might want to cross into that blood-brain barrier and see what's going on there. So those are some of the things as well. And let's say if you had any kind of a supplement, that's also a really nice option too, is to take your supplements out. And what you can do is put them directly onto the plate. I would never go to put plastic and everything else, but you can put your supplements, or if I wanted to even take it out of the capsule and put the supplement directly on here, you can clean it, use sulfidgyl tones, or even use green light, or use something else to clean and let it just clean itself, basically. So those are some of the things, are putting your tinctures directly onto the plate. So let's take a look at this and see, how am I going to use it? So we're going to talk a little bit about the remedy plates. And like I said, there's several different ones. If it's something you'd like to get involved in or try, let me know, because I know where you can get some really cool deals right now. And sometimes that can save people hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And when you're talking about this kind of technology, you can save it. I will say I'm a little tired of people saying that they can cure everything and reverse engineer all these different injections that came through. You cannot. You can do certain things and take certain heavy metals down. But what we're seeing under the microscopes, when we work with people with the microscopes, we see a lot of these pharmaceuticals as what you're seeing. I'll just go M, you know, the color blue, and, you know, things that you inject. I'm a colon hydrotherapist, so I know darn well that the I.mectin, we'll just say, and those things actually can be noticed to be under the microscope to go what's called interdimensional or adduct, or things like different zeolites and things like that, and silvers at very high nano levels that should not be going into anyone's body, let alone the biofield. So we're going to look at the remedy plates. We're going to look at pills. We're going to look at how to clear the trays. We're going to talk about tuning forks today. And then I'm going to talk about extra modules and stuff like that, how we can actually look at things synergistically to see if it's actually even compatible with you. People have different blood types, they have different genetics, they have different pHs. Someone that's acidic is not going to absorb things the same that someone's alkaline, where their litmus paper in the morning urine, when you test it, is over, 7.5 to 8, compared to someone that's extremely acidic from 5.5 to 7.2 or something. So those are some of the things, and we're going to talk about how I create libraries as well a little bit in here, how I can create a master frequency library or a master playlist and use these new things for remote healing. We're going to talk a little bit about quantum capsules, how we have been the ones pioneering this field. And you're seeing a lot of people coming up in here, AOs and, Solix and other things and all sorts of, different ones and Healy's. Those guys came after. We are so much further ahead. We were the first ones to start using voice and picture to deal with the biofeedback. Having said that, we are doing reports. They are not AI. I think we should switch it instead of AI, instead of our artifact, or basically our intelligence reports that are in-house. It just makes a graph or just shows you the color print of it. It is not going into Chat GPT, and it's not really AI. So I think we should actually switch the words around and call it the Genie Light IA intelligence analysis report. So those are some of the things, because we do not use that. And that's one of the biggest misnomers. I can actually run these programs. Once I've downloaded my software, I never need Wi-Fi again. Do you know I've got a little baby solar panel here for $50? I never have to be on the Wi-Fi again. And I can run this forever. As long as I've got light and can boost this up, I'm great to go. So what you're doing is you're making a digital sound frequency mathematical code equivalent, kind of like a carbon copy or a facsimile, but again, at some level, it's in there. So we're not dealing at a 3D root chakra infrared level. We're dealing up into a much higher frequency in there. And a lot of it will be outside your hearing and outside your visual and audio cortexes here. So that's why a lot of things cannot be seen on microscopes, where we can use precision or combinations with the techniques that we do. So I want to get into that. We'll talk a little bit about audio ports. And this is my bio bear back here, replacing either a child or a client or even a pet or even your house. We can do house clearance distance as well, kind of like feng shui, and do things like that. So it's kind of like soul retrieval, and it's much more fun than doing exorcisms and shamanistic stuff. So we're playing with the matrix. You're using your own voice. This is basically a booster, a speaker. It's allowing you to actually not only record, but put it in and play for affirmations. So a lot of people that post-traumatic stress, self-confidence issues, pain issues, it's basically feeding back to the system your voice, and you're able to co-create or manifest, the life and the beauty and the soul journey that you want to be on. So we're going to go into that. We're going to talk a little bit about these chart templates and stuff like that. So let's do that. I'm going to actually do a little mini session. You're going to see me go through here. And one of the things too, we have free PDFs. You can get a hold of me at clanmother, KLAN mother 13 at Gmail, or calm, KALM 13 at ProtonMail. We have lots and lots of different manuals here. Okay, so we have no lack of manuals for you to use, okay, from the Insight Health apps here. And there's guidebooks, and then there's training manuals. So these are very simple. Everything I'm going to talk to you about will actually be in these manuals here. And again, what you're doing, I'll talk about codes. I'm going to talk a little about the electrical herbalism. This has been around since before Tesla, you guys. And we've been doing codes here, and Rife and radionics. So a lot of people I've noticed out all of a sudden saying they're removing different things like spikes and all sorts of things and proteins in the reverse engineering. All I have to say to that is BS. So those of us, you can't fool us. We've been in here teaching in these fields way too long, and we're still trying to do the best we can. So these are some of the things that you might want to take a look at and see what actually floats your boat here. Okay, so let's go on. I'm going to show you a little mini demo session. And the reason why I've got people who've had these machines and they don't know how to use them properly. Okay, so I want to get the most bang out of your, what you've got and what you've invested in. Again, having said, you can try any of these apps I'm going to talk to you about. We can send you a Quanta Cap for free for 7 days. Most people never heard of doing enemas, colon hydrotherapy. I use all these different implants and testing to go into the water. I'm primarily about the water hydrology. But having said that, If you don't like water, there's other ways to do things. So I actually do rectal and vaginal suppositories, also with gels. These have been put in. They can go onto your plate as well. And we have something in here called yoni or vaginal womb detox pearls, which are basically like a herbal tampon most women have never heard of, or putting them on what's called vaginal steam chairs or pelvic steam, which is basically a herbal mineral steam smudge. It's a biofield herbal steam smudge or steam reflexology. So that's another kind of way. Also, I've done ear candles that can go in the navel. So I do a lot of different therapies most people have never, ever heard of. And I've repioneered a few. And my newest one that I just love is actually something called the Neurovisor. So I've been using these combinations also with the Neurovisor. So if you haven't seen this, this is the Neurovisor that can be put on. And basically you can use this. It's got lights, and people say, oh, they're LED. And I meant, we mean it in the sense of it's actually light emitting diodes. So where people are starting to see different patterns in their eyes, people going, oh, it's psychedelic, it's bad. You know, it's actually called sacred geometry and fractals. So if you actually study about sacred geometry and fractals and what we're doing with this overrides what we're doing, putting the brain back into a coherent thing where your brain waves and a Schumann wave at 7.83, your alpha, delta, your gamma, all your different ranges of the brain, beta, everything, getting to sleep right in there, is that basically you want to go in and get the brain into coherence. Most of the time, most people's brains are scattered and they're having a hard time focusing. We have done this over and over and over, getting the brain back into what's called hemisync, holosync, using the binaural beats. And in that case, what we're doing is we're going to add in no or low, basically what you call EMFs. So you can also use headphones in combined with some of these things. And I want you to try it. So even if you download one of these apps, what you can always do when you don't have the plate at home is to take your headphones and put it around your glass of water and then imprint it like you would with yourself. So that's another thing that you can do till you get these plates. And again, they are amazing. So that's basically how my little guy would be set up there. Having said that, there's things called bone or oscillation, basically bone conduction. So you can actually listen to things, did you know, without headphones? Okay, where it actually will vibrate right into the actual system. So if we're doing things, I want you to think of this really simply. Instead, like I said, we cannot use electrical magnetics or PEMF on certain conditions. This is why I'm showing you guys how to do it safely. So basically, in essence, what you're doing is actually making what I would call similar to what you think as tuning forks. And when you don't have things like that, and if you don't like Bluetooth, these are the things I was talking about. You can actually put these on here and they actually vibrate, and they're not in your ears, but you actually can hear it. So this is how we are working in quantum physics, medicine, and different things in the naturopathy field, that you can do it that way. Like I said, it's not for everyone, but for some people, they really like having these options. The other option is to convert your sound into light. And that's what we're doing. We're making a light code. And when you see this, you can actually keep it away from the body or somewhere else. So having said that, if you're seizuring or have a real dislike, you know, for thinking this is all just destroying your wide area body network or something, you can run it off grid. You can run it without it. And as I said, there are many different ways to do this. So I want you to think of that these headphones are basically like using the tuning forks here. And when you go into the tuning forks, that's what you're doing. You're running basically the headphones or the vibrations of millions and millions of tuning forks here. Instead of doing this through the headphones, you're making a sound. Or what we're trying to do when you have incoherency or disease, what we're trying to do is create it back into a coherent pattern. And let me tell you, whether you've got 9 tuning forks or 20 tuning forks or 40, it's not going to make up the millions of frequencies of those plants or the other essences in the world that you would like to bring into your system. So having said that, let's do a little shot here. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to interface here for a second, and we're going to look at basically my Genius biofeedback. So I'm going to interface with that. So if you want to try one of these, let me know. I'm happy to send you. I need your basically your name and an email where to send that. So like I said, if you want to play with some of these different things or have any questions of any of the things I'm talking about, you know, even if it's something as simple as forks or where to get supplies, I will suggest that you go down to basically my Facebook or to my YouTube or to the Rumble, which I'm going to upload this on. So these are some of the things here. So we're going to interface and you're going to see a couple different things. I'm going to show you a couple different apps that you can use, and again, for free, that you can try it out. So there's nothing here, and some of them for as low as I think under $50, you can actually start running and actually start owning it. So there are some things that are very, very affordable for just simply even under 100 to a couple hundred to, again, if you want to get into therapists and practitioners for as little as I said, $50 to $100 down. So anyway, let's take a look at that. We're going to use me as the guinea pig. How's that? And so what I'm going to do, I am going to screen share here. And once we go into that, you're going to see basically my screen come up here. And so one of the things that's really kind of cool, and just bear with me for a second while we transfer everything over. So we're going to screen mirror here so you can see what we're doing here. So only take a second and it will be pretty quick here. And again, if you have any questions, you can look at some really basic ones here at Insight Health Apps on basically what we would be looking at on going in here. So you should be able to see my screen here, hopefully, right? So we're all up into there. And let's just take a look at that here again. Doesn't look like it's coming through here. So let's just go through here one more time. So in here, as I said, if you want to go to my Facebook at Karenann McDonald, I've got quite a bit there. And we will go in. And like I said, there are so many different things that you can try out. You know, until you've done this, you know, don't poo-poo things that you haven't tried, because sometimes they work really well. I've had absolutely miraculous things happen for a lot of people within literally minutes. A lot of people actually can interface and feel it. There we go. That looks much better. Okay, so we're going to use me as the guinea pig, if that's okay with you guys. Okay, if you're okay with that, I'm okay with that. So what we're going to do, we're going to go in here and you're going to be able to hopefully hear and see that. So what I would do is I would put into, before we go into the genus, I'm going to show you a couple other ones. There is some very cool apps. And like I said, Ryan has made hundreds and hundreds of apps here. So you can rap with it. You can make your own, you know, remedies, whatever you want to do. So this is something called a Rife. It's something literally an A to Z lexicon. So this is what you call a dictionary. And this is where we've taken all those Rife books and codes, thousands and thousands of Rife codes. Pick a disease, we have a frequency for them. If you need to see what I'm talking about, Dr. Lee Bartell, University of Toronto, or if you want to look at shattering cancer with frequencies or a lot of other things, you can look at what I'm talking about here. But these are all in here and I can add to that. Now that's what, again, you have these books for and these cute little training manuals and classes for. They're colored, they're very easy. You got free PDFs, so it tells you how to do it in a step-by-step manner. Having said that, I'm going to introduce you to a few of them because, like I said, these are probably 4 or 5 of my favorite ones that I usually use with clients all at the same time, or sometimes one for 20 minutes and whatever. Sometimes you need as little as 15 to 20 minutes. I prefer half an hour to 40 minutes. That's when I start really seeing better results. And again, you can do it repetitively for days to try and imprint that pattern. Or if we're trying to go after candida, yeast, a tapeworm, whatever you might be having, or retune, or, you know, your day of atonement, or tune in an organ, it takes a bit. So these could be in here. You could have anything from acidosis. Most people are very hyper acidic right now. You could go into a condition. Let's say you have post-traumatic stress. Okay, anything like that. There are emotional and mental conditions in here. It might be some sort of anxiety. It might be depression. You may have been diagnosed with something you shouldn't have been. Who knows? You're trying to wean off even things off the system and take things, the sovereignty in your own body back into your own, you know, control here. So any condition from acne to knee pain to you might have joints, whatever it might be, as I said, or pain or back issues, whatever it might be, all you have to do is pick whatever the subject is, go here. And what we do is we can do what's called sweeps. So right now you could run it unlimited, which means it will run all day and all night, as long as it's plugged in for you. I could just pick, let's say 3, 4, or 5 seconds per sweep. So depending on the condition, we might just use 1 frequency. We might be using 20 frequencies. So in other words, 7.83 hertz. Then we might go to 20,000 hertz. Then we might go back down to 528. Then we might go to 432. Then we might go to 75. So that is what I call a sweep. Or we might do everything from 80 hertz to 82 hertz and everything in between, like 82.1, 82.11, 82.12. So as you can see, this is unlimited. That's why tuning forks and certain things and just drumming is not always sufficient to do it. And this is where you're learning that it is basically like a radio station. You're tuning in and deciding what you want to deliver for the frequency. You're in control. It is not going up to the cloud and has nothing to do with being on that. So what we're going to do is it's been downloaded. I'm going to pick just 5 seconds arbitrarily. I'm going to hit the play. And by the way, I could add to it. So if you don't have any faith in someone else or a company or someone you don't know, get to know them. That's usually my first thing. Know who you are working with, right? There isn't one of my suppliers. I don't know them one-on-one. I can't phone them up, email them, or, give them a jingle or FaceTime with them or Zoom. So in here, I could actually put one of my plants in here or make some of these remedies that I made here myself and actually enter it in with the code. So there are different ways to do that. So that's actually one of the things, we wanted to bring to your attention. So having said that, we've got some back pain maybe with you and you want to deal with it from a distance, or, hip pain or whatever it might be, or Lyme or Magellan. That's very common. A lot of people aren't aware of that. But if you've been one of those people that, know what I'm talking about with the co-infections, we have things in here. Even I was talking to someone earlier because Morgellon is rarely dealt with some of these different things. And again, chemtrails. So we're talking about things like serratia. You're talking about tryptosony. You're talking about all sorts of things in here. Heavy metals, surgically detoxing out of anesthetic, dental anesthetics, things along that line, even for geoengineering and what you call chemtrails and stuff like that. So we've got a heavy metal detox in here as well. So having said that, we just pick whatever it was again. We'll just go back to that little simple thing. Let's say back pain or a backache. I will now just hit the little button. And what you're going to see is that it is actually going through, as you can see, a sweep here. So it's very interesting, right? So you can see it's actually running right across there. And you can see it's moving from 7.6 hertz. And this one will be a total of close to 1 minute. So depending on how many different, panels we're going to do or sweeps, that's going to be what it's doing here. So again, this one's got, for example, 14 different frequencies going over the period. So if you want to make it longer, you extend the time duration of each one. So I just wanted to show you that. That was pretty simple, right? That's, simply as easy as we can make it. And again, what would you do with this? Headphones or earbuds, minimum. It's not just about listening to sounds like you're listening to a YouTube. We are trying to create that coherence and brain neuroplasticity to get it back into natural rhythms. So there we go. How simple was that? Got to enjoy that. So that is actually what we call the Rife. And again, a lot of stuff in here. You can change the tones. We have different things that we'll interface it with. Like I talked about, if you want to move it into light therapy here, then we need to play with some different channels, left, right, or some different things for audio, also for wearing different magnetic coils. And again, not for everyone. So again, there are different things available in here. They can change the sound. So maybe you want something more like a nature sound or a running brook. You can go into those. You can change the overlays. A lot of things are in here. If you don't know about Royal Rife, well, then maybe we should teach you. So this particular one is based on the Baha Mantra course. Okay. And so where people are paying $2,000 to $30,000 for some of these machines, we can actually sound generate it, right? So you're not holding, basically copper or different metals here and trying to run an electrical magnetic current or a volt through you. It's running differently through sound. And that's the advantage of working with sound, is these frequencies we can generate anywhere from 1 hertz up to 20,000 hertz. Okay. And this has been done because we're not on binary computers. This is a quantum computer system that has been developed by Ryan and teams of, Russian scientists and all sorts of things over the years before we had Apollo 13 projects. So these different sweeps, as I talked about, so anything you want to know about is actually in here. So if you want to learn about Royal Rife or you don't know what it is, everything has a frequency. In other words, it's got a holographic vibration, and that vibration has a pattern. And Dr. Emoto has shown you that. Bruce Tahino has shown you that. Dr. Jerry Tennant has shown you that. And those are the fractal geometries that are actually quite sacred in there. So that's why we do different things based on the different hologram or the template. So if we give you back what a normal liver should sound like, then hopefully your liver will start regenerating that way. So this is the first thing that moving into here. So again, this is what we're using is a vibrational language. Sound and frequency, the 369 is the universal language in here. So what we've done is we've gone into the quantum shift here, and we're using sound in here, pure sounds, like having all these different tuning forks here. So this is something that you might want to, look at and enjoy. Having said that, we have some online courses for you and all sorts of things that you can choose with. And if you have any questions, you can go to support. And again, these are simple things I really like working with, because again, I could actually take that substance or play those sounds and with a simple audio jack here. And I want you to see how simple these chords are. This is a simple audio jack that you can get even at a dollar store or Amazon or wherever you want, or any electronic store. And it's simply a male to male plug, and it jacks in into here, and then it will jack in to my iPad. So sometimes you have to have other adapters, but you can see what you're doing is you're jacking it right in at the same time. So there you go. You've got it this way in here, and we're now moving it into what we have available for this. So let's move into a couple other ones you might want to explore at Insight Health Apps, or give me a call, because I have all the codes for you and I can give you some freebies here for a week. Let me know. But we have the Bio Vibe here, which again, I'm saying it very clearly. We use it as basically an analysis intelligent report, not your artificial intelligence that you think of here. So in there, we talked a little bit about the neurovisor, how you can use some of these incredible things here with or without. You don't have to have it on your eyes, by the way. People go, why do you want those things flashing on your eyes? Because you may want it and you may not. Some clients absolutely have found the change in their mood, change in their focus. We've got so many studies that have been done with neuro tap and brain tapping, and getting people that literally, even Dr. Lee Bartel, we can show you people with Alzheimer's, or when the top psychiatrist in the Navy is Dr. Cody Rawl. He has gone over and over, and what you're seeing in the change in people within minutes, because we can measure it on EEGs and other things you may not like, but we can show the progressive change in it. And again, if you don't want it on you, don't have it on you. Put it at a distance or put it on a different part. No big deal. So in here, we'll talk a little bit about doing this. And that's what you're doing. You're working with sacred geometry and what we call mandalas. So you literally can go in here and go into these different playlists, make your own up. I can go in there and look for stuff if you're having sleep problems, if there's addiction problems. A lot of people are addicted to either prescriptions, could be sex, could be sugar, could be vaping, could be smoking, alcohol. Addiction comes in many, many forms these days with the anxiety and why you're not grounding. Or you want to meditate. We have meditation ones with or without guided meditations, just brain there. We have a whole thing just for sports. Do you know how many athletes use these kind of programs? Like the Milan soccer team, many, Lance Armstrong, Tour de Force, your cyclists. A lot of your top athletes have been using this in our field for peak performance for over probably 20, 30 years that I'm aware of, that I've dealt with. And I've dealt with some of them as well. So going into the home thing here, we will actually show you, and anyone, all you need is a headphone and you need something to download it on. Like I said, there's always an Android version or an Apple version. And in here, we're going to make sure that you are over 18, you're not seizuring, and don't have problems or progressive surgery. So those are some of the things here as well. So I am just going to show you a couple of things very close here, just within a few minutes as well. So as I was saying, let's take a look here, and we're going to look at some different other options here that you might have. And once we go into some of these different frequencies and stuff that are so easy to play with, and I'm going to show you just a couple. Like I showed you how quick that Rife could be working. Literally, you go onto your app, you plug it in, get your headphones, or put your headphones around a glass of water. It's not rocket science. So those are some of the simplest things. I don't know how much simpler we can make some of this, right? And that's one of the things that, we want to go take a look at here. So let's take a look at this in here. One of the other ones I'm going to talk about really quickly here is that we have a separate app, and we've also got another one called the Odyssey. So I'm going to go in here for just a second and show you something very simple. Like I said, there are so many different biofeedbacks out there, but these are my favorites. These are on my top 4 or 5 that I use, every week, if not every day. So one of the ones in here is actually where I'm getting to hit the record here. It's called an Odyssey. It's a preload. And I love this. Again, very easy. Like I said, these are not expensive to use, but you're going to use the vowels nice and slow. A, E, I, O, U. You're going to repeat that a few times. A, E, I, O, and U. This has only got about 5 or 6 buttons. That's why it's so cool. Then I'm going to hit the scan part. And what you're doing is the voice is going, it's being made into a mathematical, like a computer code. And that computer code is actually going to go to one of our data banks. Okay, so one therapist may have 10,000, another therapist might have 60,000. I've made 4,000 data codes alone myself. You can program it yourself. Like I said, be self-reliant. I'm going to go to the voice scan. It kind of reminds me of Star Trek. It's going up and down. We're taking a look at what's going on. And in this particular case here, this is absolutely amazing. So one of the things in here, as we look at the Odyssey, it will now pick out things that I need based on my voice. So again, it's about, here's your norm, here's highs, and here's lows. That's kind of the bell curve. And so what we're looking for is the things outside the norm. The root causes, which could be blue, and the symptoms, which could be red. So right now in this particular thing, it says I need to boost some organs. I need some nutrition, just, literally less than about 15 minutes of it. I could get some help with my getting back the brain into that, like I said, balanced into the delta sleep phase just by sound waves. Okay. And what else do I need today? Chronic pain, general pain, and somatic pain. I'd agree with that because I slept weird. Okay. Things happen. So I'm going to show you what else. So if I went to the playlist, my voice picked it out. But you know what? Or you picked out something for me. I'm going to go back and say, you know what? Let me just show you what else I can do. All these different things for nutrition. If you want to get some different things like color, EMF, digestive enzymes, all sorts of things here from a nutritional point of view could be given in a preload that we have of supplements put back in. Again, therapeutic. Any kind of headaches, brain rebooting. A lot of people have got memory issues. A lot of people have got chest, lungs, bronchial, head codes, mucus, sinuses, things like that, ear. A lot of people are having problems hearing right now. Also, we can go into, for women, moon cycles, tying back in. A lot of people just getting more and more consciousness. They're having distraction right now. Mindfulness, autonomic nervous system. This is what works with the vagal nerve and stuff like that. Again, like tuning forks. Remember, you're playing all those hundreds, if not thousands or whatever of tuning forks, or one at a time. So again, you could put 1, you could put 10, you choose what you want. So those are some of the different things as well. Just general health. A lot of people are having problems with air pollution, things coming in, molds and fungus. Digestion, who doesn't have an issue with that with the biofilm? People are just malabsorbing. They're getting worse and worse, and that's from the leaky gut. Hormones, above, below, middle, okay? You know what they are. And there we go, just general well-being. For relaxation, we'll use, different relaxation solfeggio tones to calm the nervous system, airway, and this is where I like going into different things, going into the different systems. So some are physical, some are mental, some are emotional. The other thing too is that you can go into reflexology and going into acupuncture or meridians or traditional Chinese medicine or pranic or Ayurvedic. All those different things could be addressed here. Maybe just need to feel a little bit more positive in your life. So as I said, I could pick up any one of these. Let's say I want to work on my stomach right now and get my pH up. I might want to drain some more lymphatics. I might want to do a little bit of a heavy metal detox, whatever it might be. I can then add to that, and away we go, playing again with those frequencies. And again, I can put those also into my headphones, or I'm going to talk about one other thing that's really, really cool, and it's called an audio splitter. The audio splitters are something in here that we can use, and these audio splitters are basically called a multi-audio port. To me, it's like having 6 vaginas and a whole bunch of males in here. And the reason why, I'm joking, but I'm not joking. It's how people remember when I talk about this. This is called a multi-splitter. And this basically can jack in my headphones. It can jack in my remedy plate here. It can also jack in several different functions. So I can actually do 5 or 6 different therapies at the same time, by the way. So in here, this is also called a Helix or a Belkin, available on Amazon for under $15. So you quite often will see people, I may have them multi things going on at the same time. So having said that, those are some of the different ways you can use this. The QuantaCap, I want to talk a little bit. I just love this. This is my new little favorite feature now. What happens is that you send me your picture and your voice, and I will do a mini session for you. When I do my mini session, I'm going to create a playlist. And again, to schedule an appointment with me, clanmother13 with a K, clanmother13@gmail, or get a hold of me, on one of the other social medias. I will create a custom playlist that will give you an actual number, a security code. That will be your Quanta code that will be case sensitive. Then what you can do, we will give you a mini report. And now what we can do is we can start changing things. We can actually intensify the wave. I can make it into sound. I can make it into sacred geometry. I can go into whatever problems you may have, addictions, calming, chronic fatigue, depression, inner bliss, nerve regeneration, pain, hormones, sleepy. Okay, all these things can be done all at once. Or if you just want to choose one thing, you can make your choice. The other thing too, we have many, many types here. And this is where we get into the binaural bones and tones and everything else. But the binaural isochronic tones here, which you can change overlays. Sine waves to be a center. Square for more heavy, dense things, when you've got cysts, fibroids, tumors, that kind of thing. Sawtooth for different things here, for normalizing different functions. And again, in here, you can do alternating. So when you don't know what to do, you go to the back, you put alternating, you put everything on default, and there you go. Okay, it will go on automatic pilot. But I have the ability to change this into, instead of buying 4 or 5 devices, Ryan Williams has created all those all within one. This is 30 years of accumulated knowledge with teams and teams of us over the past 30 years, as I said. Once you get the playlist, well, let's talk about fractals. Okay, let's talk about sacred geometry. Okay, and mandalas and how they affect the colors can translate into different chemistries. So, for example, you might be low in a copper. And what is regulating the copper in the root chakra? And that's why people have a hard time grounding. Or your throat's out, your thyroid's out, the parathyroid's out, because what? There's too much radiation and the iodine. Iodine correlates to a certain number, also correlates to a fractal, or correlates to certain colors on the scale. But anyway, we can pick out a couple different things, see what we like here. Clarity, feeling better, just feeling overwhelmed, or you just want to feel strong and in your stuff, or get some inner joy or inspired. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to import that code for you. What we're going to do, we'll clear the tray here. So you can put anything in, each line in individually. So I can just touch here and drop and drag it and just hit play, or in this case, I could add everything in here. So in this case, I might want to do something for the infrared, for the root chakra. If you're working in the ultraviolet, you might be working more into the brain, pineal, pituitary, that kind of thing. Having said that, we could also go in and go, well, what kind of playlist? Now, I can send you a different playlist. I could send you for hormones. I can send you for pain. I can send you for focusing on whatever you want to. And in this case, maybe when we showed you the chakras, I can also custom make a playlist. And I just did that for some clients today here. So you get to play with this for a week. Okay, so this is what we're going to gift you guys each. Now in here again, I could just listen to tuning forks. But remember, each one of these lines that you're going to see in these different machines is better than a tuning fork. Okay, So we can isolate each sound as well. And we've done that. And you can do this through the oscilloscope. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump them all in here and away we go. We're going to hit the timer. If you play it to 0, it'll play all night, or we'll just do it for a few minutes, up to 30 minutes. So basically 1 to 30 minutes or all night, take your choice. What I'm going to do is going to hit the play button, far bottom right. And what it's going to do is it's going to start going into its fractals. Okay. So again, this is what's happening. And again, when we're using the neurovisor, you're using the sound or the frequency to convert it into light. Like I said, you don't have to look at it. You don't even have to use the light, the sound part of it. Everything can be added together or kept separate. It's totally up to you. So these are some of the different fractal geometries. What a lot of people will do as well, they'll put their glass of water onto the fractal plates. So people have also done that too. So if you just want to experiment, not even do anything, and just play with it in your water, put your crystals there, there's another option to put your filter on. So I wanted to show you that because that's really kind of cool. Okay. Where have you ever seen something like this all in one shot? Okay. And I can actually run the neurovisor and the Genius together. And like I said, some of these things at the same time. So one of the things we're going to do, we're going to go into the Genius. And this is something that you can all have a trial for 1 week if you like it. Okay, so most therapists are between $100 to $200 an hour, plus all the reports. I'm going to show you the cool reports. So it really is not AI. What I'm going to show you is that it is going to actually go into just making a graph. So we need to think that get away from this thing that we're thinking up to the cloud. So there I am. I've put the different identification, who I am, in there. I put the different, biometric in there. In other words, the day I arrived Gregorian on this calendar. Okay. And the email and all that stuff is totally optional, as you see. If a client, and you can see it says pending, I already have someone sending me a capsule because they want to get a free week out of me. Okay. That's what's going to happen. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to continue. And now I'm going to do my voice again and hit the record. A-E-I-O-U. A-E-I-O-U. So you're just going to keep repeating the A-E-I-O-U nice and slow. You can say it in whatever language. If you'd rather just say your name and what your desired outcome and a couple A-I-Os, that's great. What you're seeing is that it's actually triangulating someone. In other words, it's a quantum binary computer. This is not the binary computers you're on working with that you're all scared of. So in here, this is the fast 40. My voice has hit a certain tone within that tone. And again, I want you to see that it is not going to be AI. So really think of it as an intelligent thing. And by the way, this is actually all me doing that. It's not going to the cloud. Okay. So it's an ancient intelligence on here. And I really think we should put it intelligent ancient analysis reports myself. But in here, what we're going to do. So it's an in-house thing. It hasn't gone to the cloud, hasn't gone to Grok or ChatGPT. What it's showing you is that where my voice fell on that spectrum. Okay. So it says, you know what? There's some vitality. My value here hit in here very low. So guess what? There could be some adrenal fatigue. Surprise, surprise. Also some emotional regulation, fluid balancing. Am I feeling, puffed up, bloaty, solar plexus, little, run down, emotional expression. So this is really what the analysis report is here. So what it's doing is it's giving me some different ideas, things to pay attention to, what that 3D graph meant in the coherence. And then guess what? It's going to tell me some different ideas in here, right? So basically that's all it was. And if I wanted to, I send it off to me, which is me. Okay, so we're going to put in here who that goes to. And again, there we go. So I, within seconds, sent me my own report. We now have told you that we have the voice part. And again, I want you to see that has to be paid for and it has to be over and above. And that is not included in a regular package. That would be like a car. It's a detail. You have to pay extra for that detail reporting. I don't usually need it, but if you like it, I do have it available. I could then skip. So if someone was intubated or I'm dealing with a baby or I'm dealing with a dog or I'm dealing with a house clearing, obviously the voice is going to be ignored. And you can see the fractals within the patterns. Okay, we can show you these things on oscilloscope. That's easy enough to find how we're doing it, how Ryan did it over there at Inside Health Apps. You can see him working and showing you how he did a lot of these. So this could be a lot of fun. So we're going to go in. I'm going to flip to the next part here. This is my picture. We'll just use an old picture, not most flattering, but that's what it is. I'm going to use that one. And then again, the more recent, energy is energy, but the most recent is the best. I'm going to go to the next. And again, if you want to know about auras, hit your, what does the aura mean? Okay, so for most of us, we know what it is. But if you don't, it's a beginner. Affirmations, I am healthy. Put whatever you want. I've vibrated whatever. I am healthy. My knee is healed. I feel vibrant. I feel whatever. So if you feel liver issues and you think you're angry, I am happy. I am in, laughter mode. Whatever it might be, every time you do it, it's going to run a mathematical code to you. So you're running your own prayer mantra back to you. And you're blessing yourself. Again, you see two trays. One says quick tray up here. And I also have a main tray back here. So what I'm going to show you, 28 categories. If someone came to me within seconds, all I have to do is, let's take a look at the aura. I'm going to hit the line in the center. An aura it is. You can run down. It could be looking a little wishy-washy, right? And I maybe went to the store and, picked up stuff in the biofield I need to clear off. So what it looks like tonight, oh, it's kind of cool. And could be a little bit tired. It's also really late here. I decided to do this before midnight for some reason tonight. Not too bad. Could be worse, right? There's some purple and some stuff, but a little washed out on the end. Okay, and just like when you're doing tuning forks, this is your out stuff here. That's where you're in contact with people. That's where you hold your energy. We kind of solidify down into this moment. So this is past stuff moving into the immediate present here. Okay, so what we want to do is I can look at this with or without the avatar, and then I can go into green and think, gosh, there's still a lot of purple there, but there's some digestive stuff. You can see a little run down there on the one side. You can also go into what we call trends. So if you want to pick 3 different things, we could actually go in there and just do those 3 things and go in and out within seconds to you for a quick one. Now in here, I make some of these libraries. I make and co-create part of this. So a lot of these things, every therapist can make their own. You can get, order, trade, or you can buy it from the main library. Mine are not on there. And I keep mine off the public right now. But if people want it one-to-one, they can get a hold of me. There may be some different companies in here. I might want to look at nitric oxide things. I might want to look at some cordyceps. I have made a lot of these libraries myself, or I might make some or get them from different clients. Let's say you want to work with a different type of things, Eden's Gardens. These are all the different essential oils from that supplier to do with aromatherapy. You might want to look at some that Dr. Debbie Drake has done too, and she's got a great bioterrain in here. So are you acid or alkaline? Are we looking at parasites, by the way? Have you ever been tested there at the hospital? Celiac disease. Maybe we just need to get something to build up your system here. Okay, there are other things in here, as you can see, quite a bit in here. Remedies for molds. Are we looking for food poisoning? Are these things building up in the system? Are we looking for protozoa? By the way, a lot of those things are in your, remember what's coming over your head these days? Okay, and again, I always say virus. We're looking for what is the pattern of what the cell is doing. Candida, yeast, mold, all those things, enzymes, all sorts of things, biofilm. Okay, could be dental biofilm, you don't know. Could be digestive biofilm. So those are some of the different ones in here. And I'm going to show you all these different ones in here, the libraries. The libraries I can make. Okay, get that very clear. I can make libraries. I can co-make the radiesthesia, the radionics, the Rife, or the frequencies myself. These are all the ones I've made and created. And you might have, let's say, one category, but underneath that, maybe I have developed all these different things that we're looking for, that were put into injections or sprays or, put into people in different variety of ways, or pets, by the way. Or if someone's concerned about some of the sheddings, okay, or stuff like that, take a look at what I've got in here. It's mind-blowing. There's 50 some here. So overall, there's about 4,000 individual lines. There is many things. I've made my own pain tinctures, okay, different things along that, air purifiers or something along in that line. So is there different detectors or implants or, different stuff? People have brought me remedies, or, if you looked at different brands and supplements, all the sort of things in here that we're looking at, lots of things. Or I maybe have made some master cleanser, or I made a tincture or a tea, different waters I've gathered from all over the world, right? So, Petrovka, do I have out here at our local springs? Do I have Nakusp? Do I have, Canmore? Wherever there's a spring, natural Shakona bark. I've got the actual barks here. Do you need an enema? Do you need a herbal tea enema? Do you need an imprinted water? All these different things, cordyceps, okay, different corona things in here, lots of stuff. No lack of stuff. DSMO, different forms of it. If I've worked with different people, let's say Dr. Robert Morse, I may have some of his. So a lot of different things. I could go into Young Living. Like I said, there's Eden's Gardens, another supplier. Okay, there's another 94 oils that you might want to choose from. Epsom salts, maybe some Asiac tea. Maybe there's something going on with your vision. We want to take a look at that. There's a lot of people that we're looking at different things, let's say with fire and fog and different detoxes. Most of your suppliers in here, a lot of them I have in here. Dr. Gundry stuff, gynestemia. There are procedures, okay? Hammerherd. There might be tapping. There might be neurolinguistic programming, all sorts of things. Maybe someone wants alternatives to, instead of being on statins, angina, congestive heart failure, coronary heart disease, all sorts of stuff. I invented, I pioneered. So these are different things that might be some potential remedies that you could start introducing and seeing if someone could wean off prescriptions after a while. So many different things. Look at the different tobaccos. I have Hopi tobacco and imprint tobacco. Then I'm not even into my tobacco. I'm still in here. So iridology. Maybe you want to look at iridology. Maybe we want to look at live blood cell. Okay, all sorts of things. So there's different blood cell. When I worked with Dr. Robert Young or Lorraine Andres or Dr. Ross Anderson. Okay, so all these different things can be looked at from a live blood cell perspective or a dark field microscopy perspective. Okay, all the different ticks I had, I took the ticks and put them on here because a lot of people have got different co-infections. And if it usually works for, I'll just say an injection or other things with the C word, it usually will work there, Lyme and Morgellon. So again, sacred waters, again, Manitou waters. Okay, there are different things too, MyLabs, targeted individual, different things along like that, mugwort. Look at all the things you can actually look at. Let's look at all the nicotine and tobaccos. Okay, like I said, all these things are stuff that I have invented, okay, and put into here. No lack of stuff. You should see all the stuff I have, 149 things just to do with radiation, EMF, 5G, 6G, 7G, 8G, things like that. Like muscle testing through sound, I can ultrasound, just like we were two dolphins. I can sit there and we can do it that way. Sexual abuse and ritual abuse, Sarah. Shungite. Then we can get into tuning forks. Then we can look at sodium, chloride. Okay, MMS. All sorts of things are in here. Look at all the ticks I have. Look at all the tobaccos, all the different versions. Maybe it's a tincture. Maybe it's a leaf. Maybe it's going into an essential oil of it. Maybe it's just smudging it. Maybe it's doing it from a water smudge. Lots of different things in here. Orthobiotomy. Okay, there's a whole thing about doing different, things. You could do different positions if you need it for, let's say, for Pilates or yoga or something like that, or Tai Chi or Qigong, or what to focus on or what kind of meditation. This is one I did for tuning forks, all the different kind of tuning forks you can use. Okay, no lack of stuff in here. Okay, I did a whole thing on for libido, aphrodisiacs, reproductive, hormone, fertility, PMS to perimenopause to whatever you might be. All the different teas. What are the best things? Are you even aware of half of these things? What to do for pheromones, doing sitz bath, doing chair steams, gels we can make, yoni pearls, all sorts of things in here, and for men and for women. So we have no lack of information for all you guys in here. Okay, we're Nikki's codes, people that have been actually played with, you know, on that as well. Different kinds of clays in different forms. So that's just some of the stuff I've done. So let's say a client comes to me, we're going to make it really quick. Okay, so when someone comes into me, what they've done is they've given me their voice and their picture. So right now, all I'm going to do then is I'm going to go to general overview, and I can go through my entire library, my lexicon, all the frequencies in the world that I have done here. And I am going to actually just add the top 50 things that are blue and red into this tray. Okay, you get to play with everything in here too, and you can just add it within seconds. And so you know the causes and the symptoms. And within seconds, I now have 214 items. I could do them one by one. I could isolate them. But right now, I've gone through my whole entire program and limited or brought it to 214 things. If I wanted to send you that playlist, I could send you a created playlist within seconds to your quantum capsule. And so one of the things that came up is going into follicular stimulating hormones, heart chakras, pulmonages, emotional balances, adrenals, all these things I need for myself is the same for you. Dong Quai, cortisol balancing, estradiol, stress reduction. There's again more hormone, black cohosh, thyroid. Look at all this stuff right now. That's just what I could do right now and send it off to my QuantiCap or to the client. So within seconds, what I want to do, I'm going to backtrack. So right now, all I would have to do is put those 214 different little frequencies together, see what's the most important, and then I can listen to it myself, or you can make an MP4 or your QuantiCap for you. So all you have to do is hit all the red, all the blue, all the whatever you want color, and then within seconds, start playing it. Okay. It also tells me things in here to beetroot it, you know, in their mold. I maybe should put some essential oils or go look to see if there's any kind of molds in the house or where I may have been exposed to it. We're going to backtrack. So that's how quick it is. In less than 5 minutes, picture, voice, go through that panel overview, put it into the tray and hit play. In under 8 minutes, I'm now running 214 tuning forks or frequencies, or it's making the sound generators for me. Now we're going to backtrack. So now people are going, well, what the hell did you do? And I'm going to show you. So one of the first things I like is you can play with this. When you first know it, remember, I've been doing this for 30 years out of my 42-year nursing career. So I kind of know what's in here. I've made part of it. So in here, let's say you're learning, going, oh my gosh, look at all these different things. I can look at muscles and body systems. Any page, you can go to quick balance and actually put it as long as you want. Overnight, 1 minute, 30 minutes. Okay, so it's going to do the red and the blue. Whenever I hit the quick balance at the bottom, there you go. These are the essential oils, okay, that my system is muscle testing for, that my voice resonates with this. So my voice resonates with helichrysum, birch, and whatever. So I could also make a remedy. Or again, remember, I'm going to import it. So I can put the water, I can put the crystal, I could put the essential oils, and I can run all those frequencies, the literally 214 frequencies, 1 to 214. Okay, so whatever I want to put in here, I can put in here. So that is the beauty about doing this. And again, you haven't hooked yourself up. You've literally just done it through voice analysis. Okay, and having said that, I can run this without Wi-Fi. As I said, once you download it. Another thing I want to show you in the back here is when you get into what's called extra modules, we can go in here and start looking at things to see what is the compatibility of this particular substance. So I could actually put it in here and put young living, peace, and calming, or whatever I want. And let's say if I've got it in my library here, we'll put peace and calming, young living essential oil, however I've got it in my thing. So we could actually go on here, begin the session, or put the peace and calming right on the tray here. So let's say I put my essential oil or put my joy or whatever. I can put it on here and then test it for me. Okay, this is where you test your supplements, you guys. So this is where I can put the supplements on, or this. Now what happens is the more it goes around, one is obviously you can see the codes mentally, physically, emotionally, and into the biofield. So this might be something really great for my biofield, and it's not too bad for the energy field, so and so for the physical, and so for the mind. So you can actually see the more, your circles come around, the more it is. So there you can do. I think this is really, really cool. And so you can also start analyzing things and going into looking at what are some of the best things for you. Again, you might want to make a neural remedy. So we could actually just make a neural remedy and imprint this on the plate and do that as well for you. How cool is that? So in here as well, we have settings. I showed you a little bit about that. So like I said, if you wish to, get a hold of me, I will add you into here. And then basically I will send you your free week to play with. There we go. I think that's pretty exciting. I will add you in there. And so one of the things as well, like I said, if you have questions, we have all the medical studies you would ever want to know about. And then we have all the training and education you can do in here, most of it for free, right up to university, by the way. If you want to get a master's or a PhD in this, you certainly can. And one of the other things too, like I said, you can do what's called libraries. We make those libraries as well. So there's so much in here to explore, guided imagery and all sorts of stuff in here. So one of the things, I could go into each one of these categories and open them up and see what's low, see what's high, see what's today's stresses. I always wanted to know. Kidneys, back pain, things like that, heavy metals, spin around things, EMF. Let's say you just want to you have a sore back, you just want to go up and take a look almost. And by the way, chiropractors will always verify this. Okay, medical doctors, naturopaths will always verify this. Live blood cell people always verify this. Reflexologists, those of us that do all those things can verify this. And you can work it in conjunction with all those things. I like going into, there's emotions, neurotransmitters, flowers. Most people don't know about Paul Noget. This is a really cool thing. If you don't know about the Noget tones, basically that's something to go. And let's say you don't know something, okay? If you look at where I'll go to Noget A and see 713, you're going to see a little magnifying glass, which means like search. Guess what? If you don't know what it is, we will tell you what it is. Action on the ectodermal tissues or surgery repair. Guess what? I've had 3 different fractures and several surgeries. And guess what? That's what's bothering me. It's showing it up. In here as well, maybe it's to go with GI. It might be to do with dermis, all sorts of things. So again, you may not know what that is overall, but my favorite thing is going into traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic and Panchakarma and Russian Ved Rus medicine. I love using original medicines. And so let's say my weakest one is the bladder and the liver because it's blue. I might want to look at that bladder meridian. And what I might want to do is I open up the screen, right? You can see what's all having a bit of difficulty. So instead of sticking myself with all these different needles, which would not be fun, I can literally go to quick balance and start doing sound, like tuning forks on each one of those acupuncture meridians. And then when you combine it with the essential oils, it's even more powerful. So those are some of the things I can do or make the remedy for it. So it's sitting here, I can do massage, reflexology, be doing something else with my valuable time with the client while I'm running this at the same time. Is that not cool? Okay, so I want you to see how some of these things can be done on or off the grid. So again, there are things in here too I didn't mention. So let's say you have something you want to look at. How many people like crystals? Oh, I love crystals. Going into the crystals and gemstone department. Okay, so we have lots of different things in here. EMF, I might have shungite, might have different crystals in here. What are the different things you can put as much? I'm sitting on an amethyst crystal bed right now, or a tachyon bed, or a regen bed type things, that sort of thing. So there might be something that a friend of mine, Michelle Martin, made. She's in the UK and we did shows together for several months, and they're at BitChute and on Telegram, and they're called Quantum Chit Chat on top of my channels. And, probably about another 200-300 shows I've guested on. But let's say a diamond. Diamonds are forever. That could be, and it could be a Herkimer diamond, not a blood one. But anyway, these are the different, again, crystals I could use and give myself, because I've taken those crystals, put them on here, listen to them. And there's only one book I've ever seen really talk about the vibration and the sound and the hertz of the crystals, which is called Love is in the Earth by Melody. It's a book like that. It's about $250, by the way. But in here, these are the different crystals that are recommended. Okay, so I could surround myself and make a gem or a crystal elixir as well, like star elixirs. So those are some of the very cool things just to show you what we can do. So in there, if you have any questions, what I'm going to suggest is if I'm going to show you my Facebook page before we clear out here. And then one of the things as well, we will take a look at, and if you have any questions, put them down in the comments. I'll be happy to review them. And, I'm sure there's lots of things, I've talked about a lot of things a lot of people aren't aware of. And I usually like to do that anyway, right? So there are some different things, but we're going to take a look at something here. I'm going to take you on how to get a hold of me. And again, we're getting really targeted on some stuff in here. So I'm going to show you another place to find some really interesting information here. So we're going to look at what's called Facebook. Yes, I still have Facebook, Telegrams, Twitter, LinkedIn, MeWe's, True Socials, a few other things as well. Love my Twitter X. This is one of my things I want you to see very clearly. Clan with the 13, otherwise the Linda with the C will have to get a hold of me. So we'll make her life easier. There are many different things, like I said, peri-steam hydrotherapy, colon hydrotherapy, quantum biofeedback instructors, universities, the IQ, UIM, lots of different places are available here. And yes, I was a nurse at the Royal University Hospital and trained all through Saskatoon as well by the University of Saskatchewan. So there are different things we can specialize in. And maybe you just want to know what's the best tuning fork. And maybe you want to know what the best things you can do or what can you do by sound microdosing instead. If you go onto here, there will be a site. It will take you directly to Ryan's site here. And that's insightshealthapps.com. And then from there, you can download any of these for free or get a hold of me. Okay, so if it's something you want in here. So if it's something you want to test out or you are a therapist or you want to do that, I help set up those as well. In here as well, I'm going to take you to my photos. I'm going to take you to my albums. And if you go under here, there's a wealth of information. I've done a whole thing on quantum sounds and doing this playlist, animus, colonics, like blood cell, all the different biofields, different plates we can go into, the sound of the spine, energy frequencies, essential oils by frequency, emotions by frequency, shows I've done previously in the past, doing V-steams for individual groups or couples. Again, the steam smudging, steam biofield healing, tuning forks, neurovisors, different medications that may be adverse when you're playing with pharmaceuticals, radiation levels, all sorts of things, biofield tuning, things like that. And again, you're interested in natural law and stuff like that, original laws and stuff like that, movies that were made about me, that kind of thing. Anastasia Ringing Cedars of Russia, all sorts of things might be of interest to you in here. There's one that I made called basically Heal Everything Now, yoni steams, vaginal steams, all sorts of things might be of interest into you. Who are you? Where do we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going? There might be something in here. So I'm just quickly go into something very quickly here. There will be YouTubes. Most of them will have hundreds of things to look at. If you don't know what a klima board is, I'll tell you what one is. What is your biofield? Why are we talking about getting your biofield up here, right? Again, hours that we can do like fire walking, we can actually get every hair to stand up and every cell get attuned in. These are really, really important when you're learning about biofield healing, right? And all of these things enhance. So maybe you want to know about light therapy. Okay. And a lot of times people do not investigate and they assume it says LED. It actually means for light emitting diode. Doesn't mean that it's bad. Okay. So you have to see what you're looking at coming in here. So we have different things in different nanometers and stuff too. Natural lights, healing lights can be done through incandescent as opposed to what you think are LED when they are the bad ones, when you're getting your circular little screw things. Okay. Sound and light can be, and crystals can be put on. These are some of the things like I have in my clinic here. Okay. Everything from learning about alkaline foods. We talked a little bit about the Odyssey. We talked about biofield. We talked about frequencies, light, chakras, in and out of the spectrum. Okay. This stuff has been around a long time. I've been doing this, as I said, 30 years with this kind of technology. Looking at the different templates that we do. And again, we can look at your ear acupuncture wise. We can look at the body meridians acupuncture. We can test supplements, as I said. looking at which are some of the best ones, and a lot of times suppliers making suppositories, looking how to do enemas, what a klima board is, how many different types of colon hydrotherapy and colon hydrotherapists there are, how to do them at home, how to test yourself at home and stay out of the system, how to keep your energy to yourself and not being transferred, shed on, or doing this type of thing and getting spiked on. Okay, what does it look like with or without the blood? What are some different analysis here? What are different food groups? How to imprint things? And again, going on and on and on when we would work in the clinic, okay? And we work multidisciplinary, and again, tobacco, another form of tobacco. Okay, so that orange one you see here, I'm taking Hopi tobacco and getting the imprint into it and turning it into an elixir. Okay, steams, where to go, putting shields on, EMF, knowing the difference between a smart meter shield, looking at the 40, 50, 60 blood types that they won't tell you about either, or do you need to know yours and get an Eldon card available? Lots of different things are on here. People don't realize that almost every disease starts from the hyperacidity and doing something as simple as lemon juice or lime juice and baking soda water. Okay, how to do something like alkalizing that with maple syrup, whatever. I have worked in the hospital, outside the hospital, and had doctors actually prescribe, recommend, and do doctor's orders for almost everything I'm talking about right now. Okay, how to work with different things like boron, MMS, chlorine dioxide, CDS, water purification drops, all sorts of things. And of course, we have, like I said, universities in here. Dr. Paul Duran is the university on top of the other universities and nursing schools I've gone to, and every other different certified school I've been to, from peri-steam hydrotherapy to whatever. Dr. Paul Duran runs the university. The doctors and nurses teach quantum doctors, people. Okay, and this has been going on a long, long time. Okay, so in here, again, most people are being misdiagnosed by things that are being stuck in or into the biofield around you. It's stuck in the air or the frequencies or your field around you. Did you realize 85% of your field is actually outside of this? 85 is there, 15 is here. Having said that, if I do things vaginally or rectally, like I talked about, or enemas, did you know that it's 500 times stronger than usually putting it through your mouth, which has to be broken down and usually malabsorbed or some bug is eating it? Anxiety, different things, different alternatives, all sorts of things. There's a wealth of information, all the minerals that your colon is supposed to do through the neural arc reflex. Books, where to go, why to go, yoni pearls, vaginal tampons. Doctors do this. Okay, why do these work? Because they work. They've been working for thousands of years and thousands of years. So these are some of the things I wanted to bring to your attention. And if you want, you can join me. I'm usually on my Frequency Fridays. And as I said, if you want to, you have any questions, we also have lots of people to help you. If you want to go skip through a bunch of stuff here, Insight Health Apps, like I said, has got an actual YouTube site. So if you don't want to listen to me, that's okay. You can go listen to someone else, because some of them are me on there. But there's lots of other therapists, Dr. Debbie Drake, Ryan Williams, and a plethora of other doctors. We just did some summits here. So if it's something that you would rather take a look at, you know, or look up yourself, feel free to do that. So again, going into here, you can look up, actually, as I said, Insight Health Apps. There's Ryan Williams, and he's talking about some of the different things as we're going into. And again, do not get scared when you're seeing the word AI. For us, it's the, you know, analysis report. It's an in-house graph, and I'll show you some of those in a minute before we leave. So these are some of the things on how he developed it, why he developed it, you know, how these things were going on. And well, we are one of the leading developers and pioneers, all our groups in here, because we work collaboratively in here. So again, we've got lots of different live streams. We've got some different shorts in there. You know, we're talking about autoimmune disease. We're talking about hormones. We're talking about tapping into your inner genius and how to do the 1 week free trial. So lots of things are in here. So if you want to get certified, you want to just look at some different things, there's all sorts of different ways we can do that. So that's a really nice thing to look at. The other thing too, if you want to look at my particular sites, karenann, Lucic, McDonald. It's not Lucky, it's Lucic, by the way. It's very Tartarian. These are different ones that I do on my Frequency Fridays. So always go to, there's videos and there's also to the live streams, totally different. So some of these have gone back for years here. So as I said, I've got different ones in here. You will see the videos that I've done. I've also done some quantum capsules if you want to experience that with, again, headphones to get the binaural beats, to get your hemisync holosync in there. I've also do lives. So I will do them in a variety of places. We just did one here talking about steamy smudges, right? And different things in here. So also there's a variety of different things, you know, what to do at home, essential oils, how to go to sound baths, you know, spines in here, how to make your own neti pots. So if there's something in the here, you can see me sitting on a steam. Okay, things like that. Going with friends, working in your local communities, doing health shows, trade shows, things like that. If that's something that, you know, gets you excited here. But a lot of people live things when people were, you know, in the fire zones and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff. I've worked with a lot of different animals and stuff too here, cats, dogs, everything else, because they're being affected like anyone else. One of my favorite ones in here you'll see is some of the ones I've done here with people that have actually had strokes. I remoted into them in the hospital and they started reversing their paralysis and their blood work changed. So there's a variety of things I have done over the years. And I'm just going to show you one more exciting thing that I love to show. And I'm going to show you how quick we can actually read you. So again, having said, you have given me your voice. You have given me your picture. I go in, I run everything through there, through the analysis that we do. And with seconds, look how quick we can look at you. So let's say I didn't want to do all those things and just shorten my time. Voice analysis, look at your aura. Okay, let's look at the aura picture. That's where we're at. We're going to run these frequencies through there, right? So that'll run for 20 minutes, half an hour until my aura changes into a better energetic field that can be held for a while. Black chevron down underneath the white bar. Here's the overview. Within seconds, without going through the machine, this is what we mean by the analysis report. It hasn't gone to Grok. It hasn't gone to ChatGPT. This is an internal thing here. So as you can see, take a look at what I'm showing you guys here. Okay, within seconds, that is very cool. So what am I showing you here? I'm showing you basically the lowest things here are the acupuncture meridians. The highest thing in here is the brain anatomy. Okay, or if I crinked my neck or I had a head injury or banged it. Back into here, chevron down again. Let's look at the physical. Okay, I'm going to be touching here. So this is the actual systems, the immune system, the muscle system. I'm going to go from systems to essential oils. Red oils for the symptoms, blue oils for the causes. Herbs, glands, infections, electrical, hormones high and low, today stress high and low, chemical sensitivities, spinal alignment, just like a thermal imaging, thermal scans, you guys. Okay, always do thermal. Organs, amino acids, proteins, minerals high and low. The minute you're deficient in a mineral is going to affect that organ or chakra. Okay, it's also indicative of, let's say, if a tapeworm likes to eat certain foods. That's why when you saw with what happened to radiation, you saw everyone zinc get played with. Sensitivities, digestion, and vitamins. Okay, how quick is that I can get all this information and your voice correlates to within 95%, as I said, of what we're doing if I actually went to a hospital and did lab work. Sacred geometry. And where did we use this in the hospital? Does anyone want to guess? Where do we use sound in the hospital? When I first started nursing, we started using cut, slice, and dice if you had things like kidney stones, gallstones. After a while, we started using ultrasound. Guess what? We didn't have to go into the body anymore. You use the right sound, just like an opera singer. When she hits the high note, that's what we're doing. You're changing the condition. And that's what the sound is for. That is what the light is for, or magnetics. But when you do it by sound, it's much more effective than just doing light. Okay, it's more powerful and it's faster. And the logos, and we created with the sound, and so it is. And then there's the Noje chakras, spiritual is more crystals, or, you know, if you've got EMF stuff, solfeggiotones, acupuncture meridians. So again, you can go into a wealth of information, and that's really what the AI to us is. It's an, again, analysis or ancient intelligence report. And this is what the AI is to us right there. So it hasn't gone out and come back. It's just what it is based on the algorithms that we came in. So I wanted to thank you for that and for sharing your time and your energy. And like I said, there's a lot more you could go into. There's to do with insights, there's to do with water fractals, all sorts of things that you might want to try out. And again, through the sound. So again, you can go out and try all of these for, like I said, usually 7 days, and then make an informed decision from there. So again, if it's something you want to go, and this is what I mean by when I'm doing myself or my clients and stuff in here, okay, is that I will screenshot so that you ensure, as I don't like to keep files. I don't even have more than usually 20, 30 emails in my thing. I dump things. Okay, it's out of my trash bin. Once I have it in there, I give it to you, whether it's the fractal that we're looking for, or you are looking for, let's say, what should we be playing with for a playlist for you from your scans? What can we give you? And then basically you can see how some of these people are really, really washed out, brown, gray, black, and then you can see what can happen on some of these. They actually improve within half an hour, or get some energy back. This is amazing to see the frequencies on the different people that change and change and change, because this is what people are missing. They don't realize, you know, how important this is. And again, you can look at stuff anywhere. So this is something that I want to see. And again, some of us will be actually teaching. So remember, we teach from a distance. So if you'd like to book me for a school, or if you look at some of this stuff, these are some of the workshops that we teach. We've worked with David Hickey, okay, and use the different sounds. We've worked in conjunction with it. We will actually put it over events to make sure the frequencies are in there. There's me teaching. It's really kind of cool. Those are the amethyst beds, right? And that's what we want to do. We want to get to that state of vibrancy. And that's something that we hope all of us get to, and then we enjoy. And I want to thank you for joining me. I'm Karenann Lusick McDonald. Again, I look forward to hearing from you. Leave a comment below or in my Facebook, or direct message me. That's the best way, because I don't usually check threads. So do that, and we look forward to hearing from you. Take care and have a lovely day.